Nicola Loud is 12 years old, but if you imagine she's the product of a special music school, you'd be wrong. She goes to a comprehensive and has violin lessons with a teacher who lives nearby in the North London suburb of Highgate.
Up and down again, I said. Up and down again. Right, start again. Okay, right, let's do
Nicola's teacher is Sheila Nelson. Violin teaching is normally done on an individual basis, but for the last 15 years, Sheila has made teaching children in groups the basis of her way of teaching the violin. The results have been remarkable, and today her reputation is such that world-famous musicians like Sir Colin Davis and Alfred Brendel send their children to her. But the majority of her pupils are just local children.
I liked groups because I found that the children learned from each other much more quickly than they learned directly from me. Copying somebody almost your size, but just a little bit better, is a very good way of getting on. And also, I could say something once to 12 of them instead of saying it 12 times over, because you do say the same thing an awful lot of times if you're teaching the same skill. And also socially, the children enjoyed it, and the parents, I think, enjoyed it too. Henry. John. Everybody.
Although Sheila Nelson's way of teaching is superficially similar to the Suzuki method, her ideas are technically quite different and are derived from the work of English and European teachers of the 1930s.
Will you all open your mouths for me? Right. Oh, yes, there's a lot of teeth missing. 1, 2, 3. You've got all yours. Oh, 4.
Actually, soon it will be 8 on this stand because I've got 3 more wobblies.
3 more wobblies. Good heavens. Right. Anybody got wobblies at the back?
I've got 1 wobbly.
Oh, yes.
You've got 1.
Right. So we want to see your missing teeth when you sing, okay?
It's not
Right?
easy to see missing teeth.
No, you're quite right. Okay. Right.
I've got a big tooth.
What is the most important thing in this piece and the hardest thing?
The second.
Counting. That's right. It's got lots of rest. Please, will you count aloud if you've got rests? Quietly, mind you. Quietly aloud. But really make sure that you come in. Right. Right. Are you ready? Watch out seconds that you don't come in as soon as I've finished the introduction. Here we go. Our introduction.
Unlike the Suzuki method, where children at first learn tunes by ear, Sheila Nelson teaches sight reading from the start. Simply teaching children in groups isn't much use by itself. The technical skills of playing the violin often seem impossibly difficult to master, but Sheila Nelson has come up with many new ideas for dealing with them.
In the groups we do more reading things, singing, all that kind of thing. And we play chamber music, lots of chamber music and a little bit of orchestral music.
Sheila Nelson teaches 7 days a week, and on Sunday, every room in the house is filled with children playing or arguing, or usually both.
Just 3 bars before the end, when you've got bum, 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 you two together look at each other like we looked at each other before that when we've got our bit together. Yeah. Okay. So you've got to actually look at each other so that you're really together.
I've got my turn.
All right, you lead us in then.
There's no difference between that P and the PP. Yeah.
Jenny Adejan is 13. She goes to Sheila Nelson's house in the middle-class suburb of Highgate on a Sunday so that she can play chamber music with children of similar ability. But Jenny learns the cello in school in a far tougher area, Bethnal Green in the East End of London. Decay and neglect have characterised this area for over 100 years. Today, with unemployment at over 20%, it's one of the most deprived inner-city areas in the country. The crumbling Victorian terraces are being replaced by modern blocks, destroying the old communities. Globe Primary School is in the heart of Bethnal Green. Many of the children have to cope with great problems. Bad housing, poverty, broken homes and racial prejudice are part of everyday life. Not an ideal background for schooling. 12 years ago, a music teacher from Hampshire came to teach the violin in schools in this area. Maurice Coward had little idea of the task in front of him.
I can always remember the day when the inspector came in and I had a very, very good moan at him. And I just said, nothing's happening in this area. I might just as well teach in a vacuum because nothing is happening. No one's doing anything for these children. It's not going anywhere. We're not building up anything. We're not integrating anything. It doesn't mean anything. Why am I doing this?
And say the words. And music has a beat. Feel it in your feet.
I felt that there was a lot of talent here. I'd seen the work of other classes, and the thing that I liked most of all here was the energy coming from the pupils. And I knew if they could put it into other areas, they could certainly put it into music.
Music has a beat. Feel it in your feet. Keep in time and march like soldiers in the street and sit down.
The next thing that I knew was a lot of the peripatetic teachers that I knew from various other parts of London had to go to a demonstration by Sheila Nelson. And intuitively I realised this was the thing that we needed.
Feel it in your feet.
So Sheila Nelson was approached and agreed to lead a team of ILEA music teachers in a string teaching project based on her methods. It started in just 2 primary schools, where violin and cello lessons for whole classes were introduced on the timetable, just like English or maths. Slowly, from behind the drab walls of these tower blocks, children who might otherwise have thought that such things were not for them have discovered that they too have a musical talent. Today, over 1,200 children are learning instruments in the scheme. Next week, Beginners Please will look at how it works.
First of all, we'll warm up with...
Laura McWilliam is the team leader at Chisenhale School.
We'll start off with a so. Are you ready? And so, mi, so, mi, go.
These children are in the middle of their second year in the project.
Re, do, do.
I was surprised that you could play the violin at this school. I thought you had to play the violin at secondary schools and colleges and schools like that. I didn't think you learned them at this school. I wanted to learn it because I wanted to show my mum and dad what I could do on it. Well, I thought it was going to be really hard because all the moving fingers and then using the bow, and especially learning the notes.
Can you pick up your instruments ready to do a bit of tapping? See if you can get them right up on your shoulder. Just give the violin a little push and get it right up high on your shoulder. And I'd like you to listen very carefully to the rhythm. I'm tapping on my violin. See if you can tap it back to me. 3, 4. Go. T, 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 ta, ta. And again. T, 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 T.
Tapping the violin actually helps to establish a confidence in holding the instrument. It actually helps get a good left-hand position with a nice curve in the left hand and builds up a strength in the fingers.
Fantastic. Can you bend your knees? Are you still loose? Can you flap your wings? Can you waggle your head? No? I thought you could. Yes? No? That's good. Move your shoulders a little bit. Good. Now then, can you point your right hand high in the sky as if you're pointing at some wonderful object in the sky? That's it. I'd like you to come down through outer space and land on D string. And I'd like you to just practice doing a few of these. Have a good look. 1, 2, 3. A few of those.
Basically, the bowing skills are built up very gradually by actually doing very large, exaggerated plucking movements. Then you can incorporate the bow hold and actually doing it with the bow.
Don't forget to swing. And stop. Now then, can you be extra clever and put your little finger on top of the bow? Sit that little finger on top of the wall there. That's it. And then when you're ready, when you think you've got the most perfect bow hold ever, point it towards the sky, and we're going to come down through outer space, and I'd like you to land on the D string. Are you all on the runway? Nobody come off the runway? Jolly good. Right.
I think it's very dangerous at an early age to expect a child to try doing everything simultaneously, and that's why these skills are built up in the correct way, bit by bit.
I like learning with other children in a group. And whichever line they're on, you can see which one, you can see what one they are, because you can tell which lines they're on. You can tell what the notes are. Or sometimes if you make a mistake, you can look over, there's people around you, and you can look what they're doing and hear what they're playing.
I'd like you to join up the aeroplanes and the rockets by doing this. Have a look. Knees. Knees. You have a go, okay? Listen to the introduction first. Ready, steady, go. Knees. That's it.
I think I could become famous or something, because you could, playing concerts in front of people and all that, in front of queens and that.
The children from Brookland School go there once a week to the Tower Hamlets Saturday Centre. It's housed in the Central Foundation Girls' School, which on other days of the week echoes to the sound of normal classes. The String Teaching Project operates only in primary schools, so when a child moves on to secondary school, group lessons cease, and instrumental teaching usually takes place after school. Jenny Adajan is 13.
You're not supposed to giggle. Now...
Jenny was born in Bethnal Green, but she now lives in Waltham Forest. When at the age of 7 she announced that she was learning the cello, no one was more surprised than her mother.
Well, I remember I came home and my cello was in the corner, and then I told her that I was playing the cello, and she just, the first time, brought my cello home, and she asked me what I was playing, and I said Cowboy Chorus, and she said, well, let's hear it, you know, and she was really excited, and she wanted to hear me play the cello, and so I was playing all night, you know, because she wanted to hear what I was doing. Things like that.
What are you having, John? No. You don't want anything, okay? When she was very young, about 3, some member of our family bought her a little toy piano, you know, for Christmas. And she used to play tunes on this, you know, by ear. She used to just sort of play tunes and we say, oh, look at this child playing music, you know. So you sort of felt she had an ear for music as such. But the cello, then I was surprised. You know, that bit I was surprised that she took to it so readily, you know.
Jenny's mother came from the West Indies and her father from Nigeria, 2 quite different cultures.
I haven't come from Africa, where music is entirely different. Because, you know, I'm used to listening to African music. I really don't understand classical music to any great length. And the way she took to it and fairly understood it, it's still a surprise to me. I would have thought she would have been more inclined to playing sort of African music or West Indian music rather than the classical side of music. Come from a society where our parents, say like my parents, wanted me to be maybe lawyer, accountant, or whatever. But in this society, it's entirely different. Anybody, any child in this society could pick up anything, say like music, like she's doing, and come top at the end. So, as my wife has just said, if she wants to do music, it's all right with me. But I mean, if I have to choose for her, I know what I would like her to be. But being in a different society, the one I was born in, it's entirely up to her. If she's she's quite keen at the moment, and if she carries on, if she says to me, look, Dad, I want to be a cellist, which she's telling us at the moment. She says she wants to grow up to be a cellist. And she's got my 100% support for that.
I think learning the cello has changed my life a bit, yeah. Because if I didn't play the cello, I don't know what I would have done instead. I wouldn't know what I wanted to be.
In January. On the banks of the River Deben, near Ipswich, is the former stately home of Wolverston Hall. Nowadays it's an ILA boarding school. In the holidays it houses children from London schools on short music courses. The children who come here spend a week playing in orchestras, singing, chamber music and many other musical activities. John Back is 12. He started the piano in a group teaching scheme at his primary school 5 years ago. John lives in Bethnal Green in the heart of the East End. The group instrumental teaching scheme is restricted to primary schools. When children go on to secondary school, those who wish to continue with their instruments usually have to change to conventional one-to-one lessons. John, however, has been able to continue with his group lesson. He goes back to his old primary school after hours, shares his lessons as he did before, and has the same teacher, Elizabeth Needham.
Next bit. Stop. Can you explain what happens there? In the left hand, for instance, first.
It goes down in a sequence.
In a sequence. How big a step each time?
Semitone.
Well, yes, it's like a sort of scale, isn't it? What happens here then when you've gone to from B flat, A, G? What happens after that bar? Does that sequence continue anywhere else? In the right or left? Yeah? And is it just another sort of step down in the scale, so to speak, even if it's yeah, from F? So can you play the left hand and then the right, just the left? So you can learn. I've been teaching John and Mark for 3.5 years, roughly. I think both John and Mark are very musical. John has got a good ability of going home and sort out problems. And come back and knowing what he's doing. Mark hasn't got that strength, really, because he's got so many other interests. I think he finds it very difficult to focus on just one thing. And when they came here to Bonner, Mark was extremely good at making up tunes, and John was never really good at that. They were a very good sort of pair with a different qualities, and they helped each other an awful lot when they were at Bonner. Now it's more difficult. Really. 3 bars, right, 2 bars. Is it... Wait. A little bit of a slur.
John's home is on the Brierley estate, close to Bonner School. He has a piano, but not one in the best of condition.
The piano does work properly, but there's 8 notes, which is quite blunt and dead, you know, which doesn't play. There was a fight going on the fire brigade station just down the road from where I live. And then my mum and my next door neighbour Ivy went down there, and then they went into the fire brigade station, and then they found an old piano there. And then they said, how much is it? And they said it's £2. So my mum told them to bring them round as soon as possible, you know. And then when I went to come round, I saw a fire engine, and then I saw like a piano being taken out of the back of it. And as I went upstairs, my mum said, we've got your piano. I said, thank you. interest outside music is I like drawing. Also, I like writing, and I do snooker and play board games. I would like to go to college or university for music. I would like to be a professional musician, but if I ain't going to be one, I'm going to be an artist, or I might be a story writer.
Midway through the morning, the coffee break. Since listening is an important part of learning music, every Saturday the coffee break is always followed by a recital. On this day, the players from the London Philharmonic formed a tiny string orchestra. They started with a movement from Warlock's Capriole Suite. Dominic Crean used to hold the title of All-Irish Jig Champion